You're watching Mallrats, a Star Wars podcast. Thank you for listening.
And welcome back to the Mallrats podcast. This is Bob.
I'm Nolan.
I'm Kat.
And Kat, she is coming in to read some Q&A for us in a little bit. This is our first podcast after the Book of Boba Fett. And so we're going to be doing a Mandalorian rewatch where we hit play and do kind of a director's or fans commentary at least. So people at home, if you wish, you could sync up with the podcast and hit play, or else just listen to us as we talk about what's going on and our thoughts and feelings, etc. But as you heard a bit ago, Kat, we got to deal with our Q&A from the Boba Fett finale, our last podcast, because we ran out of time. Nolan had way too much stuff to talk about, didn't you, bud?
Yeah, I am definitely the issue here of us going an hour and a half without any questions.
I'm sure that's precisely how it went, Nolan, the talker of you two.
Yeah.
So we need to, we promised that because we teased at the start that we were going to have Q&A, and then that didn't play out. And so without that going to be a 2-hour podcast, which is just too much, we said, let's just start it off with this one. So Kat, welcome back. This is your second appearance on the show.
Yes.
Our social media, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, what do you got for us?
All right, so we have a bunch of questions today. This first one coming in from Thomas. Says, thoughts on the shift from focus on Boba Fett to other characters? Is it too much fan service, or is it just the right amount?
Nolan, why don't you take that one?
Man, this is I don't know. This is an interesting question. This is similar to one that we've gotten before with the like how it's focusing on other characters instead of just Boba Fett. And well, it is fan service enough just to have a show focused on Boba Fett. I do think they need someone else to sort of steal or carry the show, even if it's for 2 episodes or like 1 episode where Luke shows up again. Just, yeah, I think it's a good amount of fan service. I don't think it's too much or too little at all.
I'd like to say that if we had always been teased with hoping and praying for a Boba Fett movie. And in that movie, we would have dealt with the stuff comparable to what we saw in the first 4 episodes. So this show was like, well, we don't want to do a whole movie with him. And we got really Mando has, yes, he was the first Disney Plus show, but he's just blown up. A lot of it's because of Grogu, but they're just so popular and so well done. Both seasons got nominated for Best Drama Emmy, which is unbelievable for a sci-fi show. Typically, they just get special effects or makeup. That's all Star Trek ever got, or the offshoots of Star Trek. So I think the fan service is bringing in the other characters, but I also think fan service was giving Boba his own limited series, which I think ultimately, as we discussed last episode, that this is probably a one and done season, not for the characters, but the characters can keep coming and dropping in as needed, and bring in other people, introduce new people, and it can be very successful. So what do you think, Kat?
Yeah, I think that it was just the right amount of fan service. I think that if you're a hardcore, lifelong fan of Star Wars, there are people in the background you'll recognize, like Max Rebo on, what is it, Mos Espa?
Yep.
Mos Espa, and their cantina-esque sort of environment. I do think, though, if every episode had a callback to a movie, like, let's say, for some mysterious reason, Darth Maul's not dead again, and walks on as the main character of, let's say, like, episode 98. And there's one like that every episode. I think that's a bit much, but I think dropping in Easter eggs in the background here and there is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done that. I mean, from Nolan picked out the first Mandalorian episode with Peli, they picked out that gun or whatever, but it was the same thing that they used in the trash compactor to lift up and hold the walls. You know, back the Beskar, for delivering the child, was in one of those cantanos, which, it looks like an ice cream maker. And that that was a Easter egg because it was never even addressed. And then we get to see it again, when the Pikes blow up the thing. So I love, and that shows me that Jon Favreau and especially Dave Filoni are very much fans of Star Wars. Yes, they're movie filmmakers, TV makers, but they just love it. And those little nuggets, when we see Moff Gideon the very first time, towards the end of the first season, and all of those stormtroopers surround that bar where Mando and everybody is holed up. There's a little transport that pulls up and lets people out. Well, that never existed outside of just the little toys that people could get in the 80s. So those little Easter eggs, Kat, I'm right there with you. I'd rather have a lot of those small ones because there's only so many big reveals that we can have, and that would be challenging.
Yeah. I mean, fan service enough for me would be thrown in Grogu every episode and I'd be satisfied. But we can't have that because it's not about Mandalorian this season, so
It should
be. Those 2 episodes were my favorite that I watched.
Well,
out of the 2 I watched.
The finale is one that you should probably watch. Especially for Grogu, if you're going to be spouting on about Star Wars, you should probably watch it at some point.
Yeah, it's been over a week, and we did a podcast on it. You're a social media manager.
You know, I only listened to like episode 2 of the podcast, which is a fantastic episode. You should go listen to it on Spotify.
But Grogu shows up.
Grogu does show up, and I watched some of the episodes. I just have not listened to the podcast version of those episodes.
You don't need to listen to the podcast.
Isn't that what we're talking about?
No, we're talking about you watching the finale. Or, sorry, lack thereof of watching the finale.
By the time the next podcast episode comes out, I will have watched the finale. How does that sound?
There we go. All right.
So next week. Our next question comes from Harley. Harley says, in the Clone Wars, many characters' facial features are warped in order to give them a more cartoony appearance. While Cad Bane originally appeared in this animated form, I think that the version of him we see in Boba Fett is acceptable, as his facial features are not as elongated and exaggerated as in Clone Wars. Thoughts on this? Well, Harley, you should go back and listen to, episode 6? We spend a good maybe 10 minutes talking about it, but if you haven't listened to it, I will sum it up in short for you. Basically, from my unprofessional opinion, we need to make his face longer, his eyes smaller, like wider but shorter, his eyebrow bone, whatever that's called, needs to be more prominent, his cheekbones need to come out a little more, he needs to be a deeper shade of blue, and his nose needs to be flatter against his face. The teeth were a little jarring, but other than that, it was fine.
So to sum up what you're saying, no, it's not acceptable.
Pretty much.
Go back to cartoons. That's what you're saying.
I mean, yes, there was an artist reimagining by a YouTube channel of this, what I believe it should look like, on Twitter, at MallRatsPod. That is our Twitter account. I think I tweeted that picture, so go find it. Shameless social media plug. Also on Instagram, we're at MallRatsPodcast.
Stop it.
All right. Our next question comes from
hold
Fabio.
Hold on.
Jeez,
I would like to discuss this question.
We answered this question on a different episode.
Well, hold on. I don't think Harley was asking necessarily about the discrepancy between, for example, Cad Bane. She's talking more concerning, if you can think back to Count Dooku in the Clone Wars, his face was very long vertically and thin with a very triangle beard. If you think of Obi-Wan Kenobi with his beard, it's very protruding and down. So I read hers as not so much compare and contrast what they look like in live action versus what they look like in animation. Compare, because they talk about the cartoony appearances, I think she said. Can't remember Ahsoka too much because she was a kid, and then we got to see her develop. But I think the one that jumps to mind, the absolute most when I read her question, is Count Dooku as a prime example of live action versus cartoony elongation.
Harley, the question, yeah, I think that is what he was asking. But
Or he, excuse me. I apologize.
Count Dooku was live action before Clone Wars came out. This
Okay.
is going CGI off of Clone Wars. They should be able to more exactly not replicate it because it would look cartoony, but make it live action in a way that is cartoony, whereas Clone Wars made Count Dooku just cartoony.
Cad Bane, Count Dooku, and Ahsoka, they're all very recognizable characters to the average Star Wars fan.
Yes.
Just as Cad Bane, you could tell it's Cad Bane, even without looking at the subtitles or thinking, like, it's just so recognizable that it doesn't need to look exactly how it did in the cartoons.
Right.
And I think with Disney now, of course, Clone Wars was with Disney, but they're trying to move forwards and putting a character that we've never really seen into live action. Well, first time in live action is obviously very difficult. And just with all of the characters, you're not going to get it right. You're not going to please everybody. People want to move forwards, or people want to stay in the cartoons. Something's got to happen, and not one person can really make that decision.
And Cad Bane, guys, he looked great. I couldn't tell if there was a stand-in and, they just did something to his face. I can't tell if it's prosthetics or just CG'd his mouth. I thought they did a great job. The nitpicking that we went into was his coloration of the nose. It just wasn't perfect. Just like with the earlier CGs of Leia, she didn't look perfect. Little off, Tarkin, we talked about all these. Luke, in Mando was just a little bit off, but quality wise, I think it's getting to be pretty indistinguishable. So if we don't have any others here on this one, Kat, what's the next question?
The next question is from Fabio. He asks, what did you think of the finale in terms of scale compared to the other episodes? What action moment did you like the most?
Nolan?
It's pretty huge. Going from the usual 45-minute at the most episodes to an hour. I know this really isn't what the question is about. It's the action scale of it, but compared to some other action, I guess, whole episodes that we've seen in The Mandalorian and other TV shows and movies, it's pretty big. We go across an entire city, and big scale plans are happening just in this one episode, and you see that it's finally unfolding. Action moment. I'd have to say when the Mandalorian gets inside, the Rancor, obviously tearing up all the what was it, Scorponic droids? Is that what you said it was?
Yeah.
Scorponic droids, just tearing them up.
Those the terms of scale. This is established to me because it was always Mos Eisley, the dark, dingy, dirty. That's a better word than dark. Little thing out in the desert of scavengers and thugs, and then Mos Espa provides you an opportunity to see a legitimate city, an economy. People live there, people travel to Mos Espa, from off planet, and so the scale of city building, world building, if you want to say it that way, I was blown away with. Now for a finale, if we compare it to the previous finales, they were all in one little location, where they escaped not grief, but Moff Gideon, and that was cool with the lava river and IG-11. And the second season, which was awesome, was Luke's annihilation of the Dark Troopers and then taking Grogu. This much bigger scale of fighting, the action. I think it's easy to say the Rancor and not wrong to say the Rancor, but just to see that thing move, guys. And we talked briefly about it a little bit before, where we only saw him gingerly move around in Jedi, right? And he was always chained to the wall. To see him move and run and jump and roar and rip and bite, as Nolan, you called him a King Kong moment. It reminded me of a video game called Rampage with monsters who would jump on buildings and beat him. And there is a Rock movie with it. But when he was hugging that tower and just disregarding anybody and everything, I don't know how that scale is massive, and the action was great. But I like when we say scale, it always makes me think of on a map, an inch equals 100 miles, whatever. And so when the Rancor and Grogu have their moment, the biggest beast we've seen in these movies, well, probably Crate Dragon's bigger or show, but Grogu teeny tiny and a big sweaty hulking angry Rancor getting down on its level. It was awesome. So but that's the easy one. So my short answer then on top of that is finally seeing Boba and Mando fighting together. And while being out in the open wasn't the best, we got to see I'm going to say it, the badass Boba Fett that we saw in Mando when he got his armor that Robert Rodriguez directed, right? This is the first time we get to see Boba fight like that again, and I've been waiting for it. And to see him and Mando with his own swagger and style, that I think was the better one for me as a fan. But yet the Rancor was just so cool because that was so new. So that's kind of a long-winded answer for that
Very
one.
long. I don't think we should let Catherine answer this since she hasn't seen the finale.
I will take a stab at it. I enjoyed when Jabba rolled very slowly across the desert, and there was Luke and Captain Kirk showed up, and Aquaman was there. It was a blast. So scale much smaller than anything we've ever seen. I should just reiterate, I have yet to see the finale, so that is just my prediction.
No.
Don't tell me if I'm wrong. I want to find out on my own.
Maybe the people listening haven't seen the secret after credits scene that you're listing.
All
Yes.
right.
All right, Kat, hit us up.
Next question.
Next question is from Kelly. Do you see Cobb Vanth developing into his own storyline or just making appearances? Also, did you see anything that alluded to a second season?
Kat, you can probably answer that first sentence. What do you think?
First
What do
sentence,
you think? What do you want?
Oh, my head thinks
Yeah.
he'll just make appearances, but my heart wants so badly to get to see Timothy Olyphant every single episode of his own television show.
Well, I mean, when you really think about it, why would they go to the trouble to shoot up the Marshal? Obviously to introduce Cad Bane, but why are you gonna go shoot up Cobb Vanth, and then we're gonna put him in a Bacta tank, and then show him
Right.
about to get modified by Thundercat Bruner?
Modified?
Yeah, you have to watch it.
Oh,
But
I do, apparently.
there has to be a show, or he shows up a ton in the next Mandalorian season. He can't just be the side character that shows up in
Right. Mhm.
like 2
Okay,
episodes.
so to answer the question, do you want him to show up every once in a while or have his storyline? That's what the question's asking.
Storyline. Oh, so badly storyline.
I want storyline, and I need storyline.
I need storyline. I need to see
Okay.
him crawling around with his Darth Maul spider legs.
No, it's not that modified. He got shot in the shoulder.
You say modifier, my brain goes to Darth Maul crawling in his dark side cave with Ezra and the dark holocron.
Your mind should go to Fennec Shan's tummy.
I haven't seen her tummy. I wouldn't know.
You haven't watched the Mandalorian season 2 with like the flap thing, and it's all mechanical.
I was there. I wasn't watching.
Okay.
But I was there.
Well, what about you?
No, that was in this. That wasn't Mandalorian. That was Boba Fett.
Even in that?
That's when he
No,
saves her.
She showed it off in the second season of Mandalorian.
She flexed her lack of stomach.
Yeah, when
Oh, I
Boba
see what you're
was
saying.
going to get was collecting the armor.
All right, so let's move along here. Real quick, Cobb Vanth. I love seeing him on there. I love his swagger. He does great in the sheriff marshal role. His TV show Justified just got re-upped again, but it's a short limited series. So I'm just trying to think of his availability. Probably a lot easier to get him to snipe him for an episode or two, in order to maximize the best hair in the galaxy that is Timothy Olyphant. But I do like him. I like what he brings. And so we hope to see him again. And that's what we were talking about earlier. That this could give us opportunities if we don't have Boba Fett show anymore. We can take these characters and they can show up in the other future series. Mainly, there was a talk at one point of this show called Rangers of the New Republic, which was supposed to be a vehicle for Cara Dune. And then maybe Mayfeld would join in. This could have been an opportunity, but for him to go. But hey, maybe he's happy in most Pelgo, and he's
Freetown.
going to stay there. Now, Freetown. It is
Get
Freetown
it right.
now. Very good. Very good. Very good. All right. I think we just got one or two more questions, Kat. So why don't you fire away?
I think this is the last one from Brian. How would Star Wars look if it were placed in the Old Republic? And what is the scariest monster in the Star Wars universe?
Okay.
Oh,
I'm gonna start by answering this one, the second part of it, because I haven't actually focused on anything Old Republic really. Are the Bane books Old Republic? Or
yeah.
is that like pre-old? Okay. Yeah, it would be cool.
Let's just do the scariest monster so
Okay.
Kat can participate, and then we'll focus on the Old Republic.
Yeah.
We can do Old Republic. That's fine. Go ahead.
Scariest monster, Sando Aqua Monster. I'm done.
From what?
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. Where at?
Naboo.
You got to walk it through for those
Sorry.
people that don't
On
instantly
Naboo.
know, because he's never referred to it as that.
Yes. Or, okay, an alternative. In Solo, when they're in the maw, that the big electric
The guy
squid
with the mouth, who's like drawing him into the black hole.
Yeah,
with the
the
eyes.
squid guy.
Yeah, that guy. Describe
big
it
monster?
as if you would to me, who has read 0 books, 0
Yeah.
comics, and understands only the basic knowledge.
So it looks like a big Pokemon. It's got a ton of tendrils that are like electric. Basically, imagine a kraken with a big head with a ton of eyeballs.
Now I know exactly what you're talking
Exactly.
about. Thank you.
Exactly.
I got it now. We're
I'm
good.
telling you.
So the first one that you said was the Sando Aqua Monster, which is in the water on Naboo, that eats the big thing that goes whoa, and then they say that there are always a bigger fish in the sea, right? So that was probably just size-wise the biggest.
I mean,
From the cartoon, which was disturbing for me. The cartoon would be, if you remember on Geonosis, there was the brain worm parasites that would go inside the clones and like turn them into robot type. I don't know. It just seemed like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The Sarlacc to me was always something that was meant to be terrifying, with all of the teeth and stuff, not knowing what's down there, and you're going to be digested for 1,000 years. The Dianoga, in the trash compactor, all we see is his eyeball. We don't know what's below there. So sometimes the unknown of what lies behind the surface can be pretty scary. I mean, there's a water monster that grabs R2 on Dagobah, some big dragon thing. And the crate dragon is scary. So if I were to go just one, gosh, it's really hard. The crate dragon was pretty scary. I wouldn't want to be stuck around with that one very much. The size and scope of everything.
Yeah.
For me, again, no books, nothing, just the shows and the movies.
You got to describe it to me.
Oh, I will. The only monster that I would classify as a monster, although most monsters have like tragic backstories, which there's no exception to this one. In the Clone Wars, there is this creature called the Zillo Beast, and he's like the King Kong of Star Wars. He lives in this, what is it, like a giant crater in the ground, and there's some mining thing going on with some gas that awakes him or something.
I gotta watch that arc again.
He's basically, he looks like, what are those fish called? Like axolotl? Those things? He looks like the grown-up version of that, with giant arms, with his fingers that are like flat rectangles. Yeah. And like, just graphically, he's terrifying. but his backstory makes me
Yeah.
sad.
I'd say
And
he
well,
looks like
because
an
King
old
Kong
man.
is as you said, the King Kong stories, because they
Yeah.
bring Kong to New York,
Oh,
they
yeah.
bring him to Coruscant. Gee, what could go wrong?
Right.
And you actually start rooting for the guy.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I just feel like
Although,
shocking him and
yeah,
stuff.
from the movies, the scariest monster to me in the movie, it's
The
a
Rancor probably
no-brainer.
scared you when you were
No,
little.
oh, stop. It's a no-brainer when I say Jar Jar Binks. He's
Oh my
terrifying.
gosh.
Have you seen the lifeless, soulless glaze over his eyes?
He's not a monster.
What does he say? He says,
Oh,
Misa, something. I don't know. He just scares
okay.
me.
Okay,
Constantly.
so Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
Misa
you
used a
very
humble
much.
servant.
All right, let's jump to the Old Republic. So, if there were a TV show or movie of the Old Republic, and this question here can be taken twofold. One is the Knights of the Old Republic, which, gosh, I think that's 5,000 years before, 25,000 years before, something like something crazy
That is
before
the Old Republic.
before the movie. But then you have the Cad Bane books. Not Cad Bane, Darth Bane books, which are well over 1,000 years before, and that's still just considered. I would consider those Old Republic as well. So none of that has been put down on anything other than visuals in the video games. And if you have read the books or comics, they still have ships, they still have hyperdrives, they still have lightsabers, they still have cities. Coruscant's still there. So I don't know how much technology changes over the thousands of years. Lightsabers, flight, hyperspace, Bacta, everything is still there, and I don't know what's being developed. So I don't think it would change too much. Depends on maybe the tone you want to go with, just like with the upcoming Andor show. That's probably going to have a bit of a darker tone than what we've seen so far in Mando. Being a rebel and a spy and the things you have to do, to help the rebellion. So I would think it's not going to change too much.
Right. Yes. I
Yeah.
don't know much about the Old Republic, so I agree with everything you're saying.
Fantastic.
Good answers. Good answers.
Good
Yeah.
answers all around.
Okay. Were there any more questions, Kat, or was that it?
I think that was it.
Okay, we have our one what if question discussion point for this particular episode, where we just take some aspect or component of anything Star Wars and look at it from what if something changed and was something different. And so this one, Nolan, first off, what if Anakin had actually raised Luke and Leia? How would things be different? What if he didn't believe, that Padme died? What I mean? What if he got the kids and he single parented them? What would that have looked like?
Oh man, a lot would be different. They'd obviously grow up to be Sith Lords, I guess is what you'd call it. But
Rule the Empire.
Well, hold on. If they are, he's got two little Siths, right?
Yeah, you're
and he's the third.
Yeah.
So the rule of
yeah.
two, would he pit them together against each other, and he would have a triumvirate, which he was the person in charge?
Well,
would he raise them to take Palpatine out?
The Emperor would never be dead, so it would be 4 people.
Well, he wouldn't be dead in the way that we see him die.
He'd die eventually, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we're saying Anakin, then he wouldn't be single dad, right?
I think.
Wait, no.
Darth Vader.
Listen to my. Yeah. So Darth Vader is Darth Vader because Padme dies, and then Darth Vader would be a single dad. Anakin would be happily with Padme, and Obi-Wan would be elsewhere.
I know what you're trying to.
Darth Vader.
I know what you're trying to say. He became Darth Vader when he was still human, because he swore his allegiance after they Mace Windu'd out the window. And then he goes, "Rise, Lord Vader." And then he goes and exacts, Order 66, and he goes, kills the Jedi. So he is Darth Vader from that point on. Now let's just say she dies and Vader raises the two kids.
Well, so my answer has already been answered. There is a lovely picture book series starting with Darth Vader and Son by wonderful author Jeffrey
Yes.
Brown.
Oh, I remember reading those.
Which answers the
Yes,
question.
those are good.
The other books include Darth Vader and Friends, Vader's Little Princess, and Goodnight Darth Vader, which just describes what happens when you let kids live with their dad.
Well,
What was it? Jeffrey Brown? Was that his
Jeffrey
name?
Brown.
I think
Yeah.
he in
Good books.
obviously it's not canon, but
It should be.
I think I think he's portrayed as nicer or more willing than he
Yes.
actually is.
Yeah. But now let's consider him like legit Vader. He wants to probably take down Palpatine at some point. Does he bide his time? Here we go. Palpatine, does he look at the son of Skywalker as a threat?
Yes.
Or daughter?
kid.
And then he tries to kill the kid. Maybe Vader becomes Mr. Parent and Mr. Mom and Dad.
We should
You know
write
what I mean?
a screenplay of this.
This could be really interesting.
Wasn't Palpatine's whole thing though when Luke was there in the Death Star? He was like, "Strike me down and complete your training." So I think he kind of embraced that, as long as his was it predecessor? No, the other way. The person he's giving his throne to is more powerful than him. He's totally fine with it.
That's true.
Crave it.
That's the rule of two. Exactly, Nolan. And with Palpatine, he knew that Luke was holding back. He needed Luke to embrace the dark side. Now, when Luke actually does and whacks him down with the saber, Vader's right there to save the blow from getting to him. And so he kind of has a trump card, a wild card, a draw four card ready to go should there be a trap laid. So Palpatine wasn't really thinking he's going to die. However, as Nolan was alluding to, especially with the Darth Bane books, which we'll talk about down the road, the rule of two, the master trains the person in order to have them try to kill them. And if they succeed, then you weren't worthy to be the Dark Lord of the Sith. And if the Dark Lord, wins against the apprentice, then they weren't strong enough and they should be dead. And so you get another trainee and go from there. Nolan.
Yeah, but in that fight, I think it would be obscure Darth Bane reference, but the end of the last book, it would be like in the fight with Bane, Xana, and like the new quote unquote apprentice.
Yeah.
That would be like the quote unquote apprentice fighting and beating Darth Bane. It wouldn't really he does say complete your training, but has he been the secret second apprentice this whole time? Like throughout the movies?
Well, let's talk about that book ending when we talk about the actual book.
Yeah, I'm not actually going into detail. I'm just saying, it would be if he went after him instead of, what's her face? Yeah, it just doesn't make sense because it's not 2 anymore. Now it's 3.
It's 3 for the immediate moment, but somebody's gonna die.
Well, I know.
So then it'll be 2.
But he says, strike me down, complete your training.
Yeah.
What training? Because if you're being trained by the guy, you're an apprentice.
Yeah.
Darth Vader is already the apprentice. Therefore, he's broken the rule of 2. They all must die.
Well, Kat.
Isn't the saying teacher becomes the master or whatever? No, that's wrong. Student becomes the master.
The student becomes the master.
And that reflects very well on the teacher. So if Palpatine gets struck down by his apprentice, then his whole ego and big-headedness is maybe he's planning already that he's gonna be Robot Man on the planet at the end of
Rise of Skywalker?
Rise of Skywalker. It should be from a nap, but it's not, and that throws me off every time.
Okay. Let's wrap these questions up here a little bit. Nolan, last little bit.
Just the point I'm trying to make is for Palpatine to succeed in everything that he's ever wanted is for Vader to kill him.
Or to try to kill him.
Yes, there's no point in Luke trying to kill him. He should be trying to kill Vader or something.
Well, I don't think Luke, he didn't know about Luke until he found out. And then he goes, the son of Skywalker should never be a Jedi.
Yeah.
And then in Jedi, Vader, in order to save Luke, he goes, he could be a great asset or a great ally in our fight. And so I don't necessarily think that he necessarily wants Luke as his apprentice. He does say later, replace your dad, stand by my side. But when he agrees to that, if we let him live, he can help us out. It doesn't necessarily have to be as a Sith Lord apprentice at that particular point. Because this is the kids, for some reason, Palpatine knows all and sees all, but he didn't know these kids survived. And once he heard about it, he goes, the son of Skywalker, that's not good. It's not good. So good discussion. That was probably our best what if, just to get us thinking. And definitely that end of Skywalker, or the end of the Death Star there, the second one, it would be really interesting if we would ever have gotten to that moment, if Darth Vader was the dad. So so great. This was the longest Q&A, so thank you so much to everybody that sent one in. We appreciate you guys listening and reaching out on the various forums of social media that our social manager combs through. We're going to be getting ready here to go into the Mandalorian episodes 1 and 2. Nolan, you got a question?
I don't have a question. I'm just saying we should sign off Catherine before we get into it.
But before before we sign me off, I would like another shameless plug. Instagram at Mallrats Podcast. Twitter at Mallrats Pod. No cast, just pod, like a pod race. And our email is mallratspod. Again, no cast. Just mallratspod@gmail.com.
This sounds like a great podcast. Where can we find it?
On Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And any of those accounts you mentioned, check the link in the bio.
Check the bio. Well, thank you so much, Kat. I know you got something to do and somewhere to be.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe go off and watch the finale so that you know what you're talking about when you come on here.
I don't know. Aquaman all the way, man.
Hey, if Jason Momoa shows up, that would be amazing.
Jason Momoa shows up, I'm turning the TV
Yeah.
off and never watch
Captain
again.
Picard is what I want.
That's all for me. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. See ya.
All right. Yep. Well, let's get into it.
All right, now we're going to start our next series of podcasts that helps us span the boredom between, Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so we came up with the idea of rewatching the Mandalorian episodes, where each of our podcasts covers 2 Mando episodes, where it's just like, remember the director's commentaries on DVDs? It's going to be like that. So what you need to do now is either pause our podcast or do it while we're stalling, but turn on your Disney Plus, queue up Mandalorian, and then we'll all hit play at the same time. So it's like a watch party. And so we'll watch this knowing and expecting everybody to have seen this already. So it's not going to be a shot-for-shot, analysis of it.
No.
Just a running, this is what we like, dislike about it, how it plays out or foreshadows things to come. Really just what you would if you were talking with a friend while you're watching. Those annoying people at movies who don't shut up. That's really going to be kind of us with this, hopefully.
Yeah.
You've experienced that before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Aquaman.
And were people talking?
Yes.
It drives me nuts.
Nobody stopped.
There was, and I kind of let people do their thing, but I remember there was one time, it was Rise of Skywalker, the culmination of the saga. I'm just like, do not talk during this. You know what I mean? It was a culmination of my childhood and all the movies and the books and just really wanting to see how that ends.
Are you fine with whooping? Woo! Or is it just talking?
I guess only if I was whooping as well. Then it's fine. So it's like, I don't mind watching it with a big group, but I don't want it to impact my viewing.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry if me cheering impacts yours. Kind of thing. So, so we stalled for a little bit in order to get it queued. We have it at 000 for Chapter 1, Episode 1, called The Mandalorian. Looks like the runtime is about just under 40 minutes. And I know I'm flashing back to the very first time that we watched this, and we'll talk about that as we, since we don't have to pause for things, we can just talk straight through.
Yeah, didn't really know what to expect for it.
Yeah, and it was right from the beginning with music and all that. It just really hooked us. So we'll have it on mute so that we are reading subtitles. That's always a nice way to help understand stuff. We might have the volume up a little bit, but we don't want to broadcast their copyright. So feel free to listen, watch along, but we'll do 2 per episode. with our Q&A at the end, which for this episode or podcast, we already did the Q&A because of falling apart before. But on the count of 3, we will all hit play together.
Is it on 3 or on go after 3?
my
Like
gosh.
on 4? Okay, let's just 3, 2, 1 countdown. Is it on 1 or is it on go? Like 3,
this is
2, 1, click, or is it 3, 2, click?
This is straight up Lethal Weapon 2 talk.
I know exactly.
Pulling Danny Glover off the toilet with the bomb. So is it 1, 2, 3, pull?
Yeah, is it that?
So is it paper, rock, scissors, shoot?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's rock, paper, scissors, but yeah.
Rock, paper.
Is it rock, paper, scissors, shoot? Or is it rock, paper, shoot?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, understand it.
Wow. You know what? I think this is a very
viable
valid
argument.
because we wouldn't want somebody to be a nanosecond behind us, starting this. So Precisely. I'm so glad you're here to point these things out for us.
What if our internet is slow, though, and we're like, hold on.
buffering. I think we're going to be fine.
Start over.
All right. So on the count of 3,
1,
and then go. So we'll say 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. And then the Disney logo, beautiful, comes up with a shooting star. Now,
this is too directing.
I remember the Lucasfilm comes up, and I haven't seen that in the theater, for years at this point. And then they have the little...
the new intro.
The new intro with lasers and stuff, much like the old not old, but the Marvel movies have their, background visuals of the movies. I just remember thinking that looked cool, the visual. And opening shot, Mando on a Hoth-like planet with a tracker
in hand.
And we know nothing of any of this other than the scenery. And the thing that I distinctly do recall was this was the first time that the volume had been used in production. And it's so well done that you can't even tell. Transport into the bar with a Quarren. This Quarren is, if there wasn't the Mon Calamari, the Admiral Akbar, we have the, what would that be? Not squids, but octopus face? Something?
Looks like a squid.
But he's just mammoth. Scary. We got the big bald guy. And Mando showing up. Very similar to Boba when he walks into Tassi Station. With the door opening, just walking in.
Spoiler.
This is all spoilers. Mando, calm, cool, hodgepodge of gear.
Don't like the armor.
Yeah, definitely looks different. It's not his Beskar yet. Did he do his Ichuta Mando?
No.
Oh, okay.
Shh.
You spilled my drink.
Mando.
That guy looks familiar.
Looks like Lando.
Guy looks like he could have been in the Vikings TV show. Just rugged. Oh, Mando's fight. Quick hand-to-hand disarming.
Oh.
Okay, this was awesome.
I remember
the
this.
Quarren running away. He snags him, starts pulling him back through the door, and then he shuts the door halfway, cut, slice,
Don't
flesh.
even need to see it.
Awesome. It truly sets the tone for this guy is not messing around.
I didn't hear the Achuta.
No, I think we were talking. Now, this blue skin guy is a Saturday Night Live former actor, never a huge name, more like a feature player, Horatio Sands. So I was kind of from the start, I'm like, okay, we're putting a comedian in the opening scene of the Star Wars. First time we see these pucks, the bounties, how they go and get in their quarries.
This is where the line is, right?
First time we hear his voice.
No, the line.
The line. I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold, and touching his gun. Mandalorian credits. Doo-doom, doo-doom. Pretty good start for a series, a kickoff, to really explain things. Don't need too much dialogue on his part. What, one line? One line? So now he's got to go back out, transport his ship. Okay, now we got to do with the big snout with his little recorder from elementary school. I remember seeing that guy in A New Hope. He's the one who pointed the
The
stormtroopers
spy.
to the landing bay. Can't remember what they are called.
He just said Kubazian.
A Kabaz?
Kubazian.
That sounds about right. All right, Mando does not want a droid driving him, so he pays a little extra. Clearly does not like droids, as we come to understand why later on. So then Luke Old Speeder comes up belching smoke. Now this guy's another comedian. I think his name's Brian Posner. He had a little guest arc on Big Bang Theory. He always plays kind of a large nerd. Did they ever say what planet this is?
No.
No. Ravenex.
Yeah, I'll look that up.
Those
later.
big walruses underneath the, what do you call it? The ice here. They're skimming out the ice to go to his to the Razor Crest for the first time. He's got his bounty, the blue fish mithril
guy.
species. First time we pull up next to the Razor Crest. Mithril is not impressed. You're kidding me, right?
He reminds me of Samwise Gamgee.
What, the Mithril?
Yeah.
In what way?
I don't know.
Just
Mannerisms
as a
and speaking.
sidekick, little guy. All right, warned to stay off the ice because it was Ravenex, which I do remember this scene coming up. Mando walks towards the ship. The Mithril just watches the transport right away, zooms in on it. All of a sudden, disappears. Some creature gets it from under the water. Ice breaking, swimming underneath it. Now this is fantastic. This thing literally is a walrus face.
Ugh.
Maybe it's just a big walrus. We don't see below
I
the
think it's just a
ground.
walrus.
Yeah. Oh, the first Dank Ferric.
Well, we need a Dank Ferric.
Dank Ferric.
Here, let me put that down as one.
Well, you're keeping track of Dank Ferrics?
Yeah.
And all the weird swearing? All right, so we're trying to pull away with the Razor Crest, but the Ravenak is holding on to it. Think of a massive walrus just holding it in its mouth and its tusks. Now, this is what's cool that I remember from the first time we ever see Boba Fett was from the cartoon in the holiday special, Christmas of '78. And we get to see him with this it looks like a tuning fork on the end of his rifle. And it unleashes an electric charge. He shoots he look almost like
That's
a hippo
his
there.
evaporator, right? Or
Well,
the
he didn't shoot
disintegrator.
disintegrator. It might be the same weapon, but he used the electrical
think it-
pulse, and it got him away. But when you see him, and I can't remember in the cartoon if Boba was riding on a mythosaur or
something. It's
but
big.
he has that same weapon with the tuning fork. So it's a great Easter egg to that original concept art. And as we go through these episodes, and especially with the Boba Fett now, a lot of some background characters or set pieces were all based on old Ralph McQuarrie drawings, the guy who was the pre-conceptualized, drawer artist to help really all the other artists to get an idea of what the tone is for that particular world, and as each one comes about. Like when we get to the Frog Lady next season, those little spiders
Can we
and
just
things
skip
that
that episode?
well, I don't know, the spiders and stuff, those were from his conceptualizations for time on Dagobah, and things like that before they actually shot it. So all right, so he's transporting the Mithril. We're up in the Razor Crest cockpit, and he needs to go to the bathroom. He needs to get away. What does he say? He's molting or something like that.
Something.
Yeah, there's no way for me to go. Come on, I need to go to the bathroom.
Back tube.
And so he allows him to go wander the ship. But Mando can't be that foolish. But we didn't know what to expect with this show. Star Wars, we were a fan, so we were excited about it. but the visual and the tone of everything was just kind of dark.
I'm molting.
I'm molting. So we see
Baby Yoda's bed in the back.
the little cubby hole. Yeah.
Well,
Do you think he
his
walks? Do you think? Oh, there's the weapons compartment. Do you think Mando walks around with his helmet off on the ship if no one else is around?
probably.
As we'll
'Cause
see
it's just in
later on.
front of people.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the Mithril's just snooping around, walking down the cargo bay towards the back ramp or side door.
The Carbonite people.
Now this is what's cool. He hopes to be free for Life Day. So now he's looking at the carbonite slabs. There's some woman. There's 2. There's 3. People joke that the third one was George Lucas.
Probably.
Because the guy had a beard. And Mando just shows up, tosses him in the carbonite. So he wasn't fooled.
Here's something I'm thinking.
Tell me.
When he says, I'll bring you in warm or cold, and then he branches his gun, I think cold is in the carbonite.
Well,
because
maybe.
He's still bring him in. Either like in person or he's in carbonite.
Does he ever
He's not going to kill him.
Does he ever talk about it when after he loses the Razor Crest? He never really is bounty hunting at that point, is he?
No, he's just stuck with the Baby Yoda.
Oh, does he say it in the Boba Fett episode when he's there with in the butcher shop? I can bring you in warm. I can bring you in cold. I like how you're finding an alternate meeting, but I think it's straight up supposed to be you're either dead or alive.
Well, he's not going to get paid as much dead.
That's true. All right, so now we're on a planet to Navarro. So we have a cantina-like thing, like Mos Eisley, just packed with aliens and humans. And as we find out, the majority of them are bounty hunters. And everybody's giving Mando a look. They're all stopping, turning, and he just walks up to Apollo Creed sitting there. Grief Karga. Mr. Carl Weathers, Mr. Tobias Fuque's acting coach in Arrested Development. Happy
Reading
Gilmore.
a rainbow.
It's all in the hips. And actually, that's LeVar Burton. From Star Trek.
Whatever.
Geordie LaForge.
Whatever.
Very similar, though. Very similar.
They sound the same.
They do. They do. They look more similar now, I think, because back in the 80s when Geordie was on Star Trek, this guy was just a ripped beast who was in Predator and Apollo and all of that. All right, so he's getting paid off for bringing in his bounties, trying to get more bounties. They're paying him with
Imperial credits.
and
Calamari flan.
Calamari flan. This is so cool. They just scan the faces as they offload on their little repulsor lifts.
Wouldn't that be so easy if we had repulsors?
Yes.
Just carry stuff around.
But this is a great allusion to when we see Han getting loaded into Bobas. It's slowly into the Slave One at Empire. Just slowly raises up like that.
Fire spray jump ship.
Yeah, well, not yet.
Still counts.
All right, so Mando wants to take all of the bounties. He's a busy boy. I don't know if he's saving up for something. This is all he's got. It can't be cheap to fly around everywhere. No. What's your highest bounty? 5,000. So instead of taking quantity or quality of a mass amount, well, instead of quantity of them, he just wants the best one.
He said 5,000 won't even cover gas anymore.
But
so it's not that much.
Deep pocket, big commission. And this is the first time we've really seen a Star Wars, I don't say first because Vader did it, acting through a mask. And they do it through long shot, little tilts of the head. I almost wonder if they had to do screen tests to see what it would truly look like.
You can really get it when he's like contemplating with the ball in later episodes after he gives away Baby Yoda.
Yeah. All right, so he took the puck or the contact information to go meet a gentleman called the Client, walking around the streets. This is just production quality. It was awesome as a Star Wars fan. With the prequel movies, they were all CG, right? Pretty much everything was computer, blue screen, green screen. And so to see him walking around the sets that they built outdoors, and then the interiors are all in that volume, which is a floor to ceiling, including the ceiling, LED lights, and that they can program their surroundings and save on production costs.
The little security guard from Jabba's palace.
Oh, the ball out of the socket?
Mhm.
It even sounded the same. There was a movie in the 80s called Flight of the Navigator. A little kid flying on a ship. Really cute little movie. Very similar type speaking. Well, a gonk droid? Or a version of a gonk droid? Door opens. We got about 4 stormtroopers.
I like those odds.
They're all got their guns. Oh, there he is. The client. Now, what do you know about Werner Herzog?
I know he's a good actor.
Well, he's more known as a director.
Whatever.
But pop culture recently, he's more known for guest starring on a certain television show.
The Mandalorian.
Yes, The Mandalorian. A lot of people tended to know him from the Rick and Morty episode. It was the one where he needs a new heart, but Jerry had to give up a certain anatomy piece for it. That voice was Werner Herzog, of the recipients of that. So a lot of people knew him from that.
That episode?
Yes.
The second interdimensional cable?
Yeah. It's
That
when
was
they're
a
in the
weird
hospital.
one.
So we have Dr. Pershing walk out. Guns are drawn. Everybody's tense. And we find out that Mando is there by reputation of Greef Karga. And the client, I don't know if these people are, this is post-Empire, so
That's what they said.
did he just hire these mercenaries and they just happen to keep their gear? Because the gear does not look clean and shiny and white.
Well, we find later that the Empire still exists with Moff Gideon. They're just...
In some faction, some way. But this guy, if you have enough money, maybe you can hire the
I don't know. He's
AWOL people, maybe?
some extent part of the Empire still.
So he wants to pay him at a Beskar bar with an Imperial stamp on it.
From the Camtono.
And that's the first time we hear that name Camtono in Star Wars. And we'll see a
The ice
visual of
cream
that coming
maker.
up. It literally looks like some sort of personal white ice cream maker. Okay, so this is a wanted dead or alive. But Pershing seems to be upset about it.
Warm or cold.
Mm-hmm. This guy just has a crazy voice. I don't know. It's probably just translating from German to English, and it's just the natural accent that's left over.
He's
But
German?
Werner Herzog.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So we find out that the quarry is 50 years old. So, Mando might be mid-30s at this particular point. So it's somebody a little bit older than him. Man of your skills should make short work of this.
Bounty hunting is a difficult profession.
Good profession. That's great. The Beskar belongs back to the Mandalorian, so it's good to restore the natural order. Because we find out much in greater detail that the Empire is responsible for a lot of the damage against the Mandalorian culture, and probably the confiscation or mining or harvesting of Beskar.
Yeah.
The attention to detail of all the... Oh, there we go. We have a Kowakian monkey lizard on a spit being roasted, and another one in a cage just staring at him. I love it. I remember chuckling a lot with that. I just love the little droids in the background, the people in costume. See, I would love to be just an extra. Put me in the back selling the Kowakian monkey lizard, and I'd be happy. You could put me as a stormtrooper in the back corner, doesn't move. I'd be happy. All right, so now he's going downstairs, and we find out that he's going to... Is it the sewers?
It is the sewers.
You wouldn't think they would have the stairs, but he passes another Mandalorian. Standing guard, just hanging out.
Another Mandalorian.
And this is the first time that we see a covert, and we see little kids. They're all helmeted, which we'll find out are called foundlings in a little bit. There's the Mythosaur skull above the door, which we see in the Boba Fett to mark where he is tracking. And we meet the armor around her forge. And this is all these characters are brand new. Dave Filoni directed this episode. Jon Favreau wrote them. I believe he wrote them all. But in establishing their own canon, their own characters, this armor is a very integral role who becomes even more important down the road. But a strong female character, he comes in, kneels. Oh, or is he sitting? He's sitting. He pulls out the money he's earned and a Beskar bar.
What does he get from this? The whistling birds? Because I remember he can't make armor out of this.
Yeah, he has to get more later for his armor.
Or he gets like a shoulder piece, I think.
Talking about the Great Purge. It's good to be back.
Yep. Arms.
A pauldron, so this would be his shoulder piece.
Yep, shoulder blades.
Yeah, as you see here, if you've been a fan of Mandalorian showing up down the road or you came late to the party, he's all shiny silver. So now it looks like really a hodge collection. Yeah, like he went to a junkyard as needed.
I think it's still Beskar, just like how in the Clone Wars, near to the end, how the Mandalorian arc with how they're all getting one shot by blasters, they're still wearing Beskar. It's just lower quality Beskar.
That's fair.
Like this is pure Beskar.
I was going to say the purity is probably there. Yeah, and so we find more. We establish the founding here. We watch this, and this. Oh yeah. His first flashbacks. As the forge is pounding, he's flashed back to running as a child, which we know that's him as a kid with his parents, and everybody around's getting picked off, and we don't really see what is doing this at this point.
Eventually.
But for a few episodes, this is important. So they storm away, much like how Jyn Erso in Rogue One has to go and hide when, Director Krennic shows up, outside Mads Mikkelsen's place. But
you forget his character.
The flashbacks, Mad Mikkelsen?
Yeah.
Well, it's Galen Erso, right?
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just being picky.
Yeah, that's okay. I appreciate it. I'm going to hold you to that standard too.
You're welcome.
All right, so he got his little, what they call it, a pauldron?
Pauldron.
It's his right shoulder piece. They don't have a signet for it yet. They don't understand, we don't really understand that until next episode, really. Or the one after.
Next episode.
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember the Jawa and Mudhorde one.
All right, so now we're on a planet. It looks like Tatooine.
I think it is.
Well, right. I didn't see a name pop up, but it looks desert planet. It looks like he's set down in a canyon.
Sorry, I'll try to go into this with a mindset of we haven't seen the later episodes.
Well, I think some of it can the benefit of knowledge of what happens we might be able to see this through a different light because we haven't watched this probably watched a year ago.
We rewatched it before watching season 2.
What was it, about 14 months ago was the season 2. We would have watched it before that. All right, so he pulls out his disintegrator. It has his scope on it, and he sees a blurg, which I remember them being, what was it? I can't remember which one. I think I saw it in one of the Ewok movies, the made-for-television one.
It was in Clone Wars, too.
And then they showed up in the Clone Wars cartoons, the Dave Filoni ones. But,
Makes sense it's in this, then, if it's Dave Filoni.
What is he, kind of a toad? A toad-like thing?
Yeah.
2 strong legs, but it's like a horse toad something.
Like horse toad dinosaur.
Yeah. So anyways, one snuck up on him, bit his arm. Another one's coming, and he's in trouble. And then he gets saved by
Quill.
The
Ugnaught.
The Ugnaught. Very good. Do you remember who voices him? Three.
Nope, I forgot.
Nick Nolte. He's an aged actor, but really popular in the 70s and 80s.
He did somebody else, right? In
Uh,
this,
he's done a lot of stuff.
I remember you telling me that he did someone else in this show.
Nick Nolte, no, that's not even him on the thing. It's just his voice. It's a young actress or stunt person doing it. But
My
yeah,
memory's
so
fading.
he takes him back to his little farm. He's got his windmill. This is the first setting or house that we've seen on Tatooine that isn't some sort of in-ground dome. To keep cool.
What about Mos Eisley?
Well, so I guess those are buildings above. I guess just out there in nowhere.
Yeah.
All right, so this is an Ugnaught, which are, if you can recall back to
Which one was that?
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
It was Lando with his Bestman on Cloud City, and we see them working the trash
It was
incinerator.
Yeah, the incinerator.
And if anyone knows the books, etc., they're the ones who tend to be very mechanical oriented and workers, and to be fair, and they talk about it here, slavery. And Quill, he'll talk about in detail. He buys it. He saved up enough to buy his freedom, and he's a hard worker out here on his own, farming blurgs, getting them, trying to break them. And now you get the comedic moment of Mando trying to break the wild stallion, the blurg here.
We're told that the way to the quarry is only accessible by a blurg mount. So he's trying to learn how to ride it.
This might not be Tatooine then.
Yeah, no. A desert planet.
A desert planet. Mando doesn't have time to go through this. I wonder if the technology of a speeder or the noise were to give their position away. Blurgs, maybe you can sneak up a bit.
I mean, they're blurgs.
And they can move pretty quickly. I like how he said there that you could ride the great mythosaur, your people, the sigil.
And you can't ride a blurg.
Mandalorians. So you should be able to ride a little blurg. Boba Fett goes, when he saw Rancor, I've ridden things 10 times bigger than this, right?
Name one.
I'd love to know what that stuff was. That might have been a reference to his cartoon.
Possibly.
That thing would have been bigger than a Rancor. Yeah. Mando.
He's like a Jedi.
Yes, or a blurg whisperer. Blurg whisperer.
No. Just Rise of Skywalker when Rey calms the snake guy.
Calms the snake down, yes.
Mm-hmm.
As well as we saw Grogu do it.
Well, yeah.
To the Rancor in the finale. I almost wonder if that's what Anakin did when he was fighting in the Geonosis pit of Attack of the Clones. Remember he had to walk up to the reek, calm down, and then he jumped on the back and threw the chain around it. All right, the blurgs are made for this terrain, a very drought-stricken land.
I think a land speeder would do just fine.
Yeah, but with repulsors, don't you need to be over ground for it to be repulsed?
I don't know.
So the physics, if you're going over crevices and openness, I think you drop.
Can't you just turn up the repulsor distance?
Probably.
It's like you could float.
But every crack, you're going to turn it up?
Keep it up then. I don't know.
Just fly.
Yeah, just turn it up.
Squeal's been very, very helpful. And he doesn't want
Backstory.
He doesn't want any reward or nothing. He just wants peace on this planet. They do not belong here. No peace until they're gone. That looks like a face prosthetic. It doesn't look like a CG.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing a really nice job of it. Moving it around. I have spoken. Love it. Well, those following along, I hope you turned it on at the right moment so that you're enjoying this and you don't need us talking every second, and you can enjoy the maybe the rewatch, the tension of it all.
What are they? Platoonians? The other guys?
I don't know. I couldn't see. We'll see when we get down there a bit. But he's looking, and they're definitely outnumbered some. Oh,
You forgot this?
okay.
IG-11.
IG-11. It's a straight up, the original Bounty Hunters in Empire Strikes Back,
88.
right, was IG-88. And we never got to see it move. If you watch the cartoons, not really cartoons, they're animated series of Clone Wars, you get to see some of the bounty hunters at how they move and bend. Remember there was a fight between Anakin and like a big cargo hold, and they're just spider-like jumping around. Multi-axis pivots and swivels. And so to see him fight, he's very deadly.
Shot in the new Beskar shoulder.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Hit him right in the shoulder. You are a guild member. Now, this IG-11 was voiced by Taika Waititi.
Director,
Academy Award-winning screenwriter. And supposedly, with the Disney announcement a year or so ago, he's supposed to do his own Star Wars movie. And now that his Thor Ragnarok sequel, was it Love and Thunder?
Yep.
That's supposed to come out this year, and so maybe he can start working on a Star Wars. Oh, I love the spinning of the hips there to walk over that corpse.
Thing, yeah.
He walked in a straight line and just rotated.
Alert.
Oh, here comes
Nikto.
more.
These guys are Niktos.
Mando and... Yeah, that IG-11 just moves around really cool.
Feels like in Rogue One when they're on Jeddah
Yes,
and they're getting pinned down by the big tank.
very much so. I love how they work together because they're both part of the guild. They're of the same union, and union does not break ranks. They work together. Wow, look at that.
Behind the back.
See, this is why people get worried about AI eventually and becoming self-aware. And
I don't know if we're here.
well, if you
but-
listen to Elon Musk talk about it, it's a reality not too far in the future, and people should be scared.
Already.
He's going to initiate self-destruct because they're trapped.
Are they by the
Yes,
door?
they're right next to the door.
It could blow up.
Well, they don't know what's in there. It's something that they have to go and get.
Yeah, but they said it's in there. They could just blow up the door
They could.
with his self-destruct.
But they would still die from all these people out here.
Yeah, but
Man,
They'd
so
get the
many
door
people.
open.
Do you ever find out who's like running this little outfit?
I think it's just like a mercenary outpost, like how Queel described it.
Yeah. But being in here at the end of the street, you almost wonder if it's
Uh-oh.
this is one of those E-Web repeaters. Do not self-destruct. Okay.
Self-destruct.
And it's so fun for me to try to remember watching this for the very first time. The little humor, the great action, the character backstory exposition, what little we have, but what mystery is still there, And leading up to the final shot of this, it just completely blew my mind. This is awesome.
It's crazy how fast this episode goes too.
Oh yeah.
For a pilot.
Yeah, we are almost done.
Over in a flash.
Now, he used his little grappling hook thing that we see Boba use to ensnare Luke on Jabba above the pit of Carcoon before the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
but we don't really see him use that very often.
It's just utility.
I will disengage. There's debates online about how often is Pedro Pascal really Mandalorian, because all of
Never.
his dialogue is voiceover. But he's got this walk.
Like a sachet.
Sachet. It wasn't swishy, but just a strut
Like a little.
that when you see it, and then plus his build is so normal height, but some of his, when the big hand-to-hand combat happens, it's a little bit bigger.
Eh.
But it's fine. There's another silhouette coming through, backlit.
Familiar
He's got
the Return of the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Through the.
But it's quickly becoming a really distinctive, famous silhouette.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the most famous one I always remember is just Indiana Jones, because we don't see his face right at the beginning. The whole opening sequence in the jungle is just his hat, right? And it's just very iconic. All right, so we're beeping towards a little crate, and this is
Looks like an egg.
And really, this is one of the biggest surprises, big reveals, and it turned out to be gigantic just because of what's shown here. But we're just like, what is this?
You can see the head.
Right here, there. A 50-year-old, but it's clearly not large. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Bonding immediately.
Sadly, we'll never know. Close up. Oh, poor baby Yoda. Maybe take it a beat more before IG-11 falls.
Exactly.
I think editing-wise, just what a beautiful shot.
Looks like concept art.
What you do with a child, a little baby, put your finger out, and then a little hand. Yay!
Great episode.
So adorable. Adorable.
Yep, there it is.
But do you remember watching that the first time?
I do.
And we're like, okay, well, what is this? And
it's a darker Star Wars.
You just got so, oh my gosh, so cute. And then we don't really know where we're going with this yet, because it's still just a bounty to him. But it's interesting that IG-11, said his contract was terminated. See, when Mando talked to the client, it was just both. Now, this music is just very memorable, and I love how the episodes end with the concept art. I would love, and maybe that's out there, but a book of the concept. Is there?
It's at the library.
Of all of these?
Yep.
I need to get that or look at it, because this stuff is, some of these shots, I don't know if it's too nerdy, but you could frame these. I mean, it's just artwork.
Yeah, they had stuff from the sequels, original trilogy, Clone Wars stuff. They've got a lot of concept art books.
Nice. I remember seeing, I don't know if it was called characters, but they would call it art of Phantom Menace or this or that.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So very, very cool, iconic opening scene. We're going to get ready to start the second one in a little bit. So if you want to pause on your end, but we're going to get queued up. So you can skip. We're not going to play out the rest of the first credits. There's still about 15 seconds, or it'll bounce us to the second episode. But we want everybody to be able to sync up. So we're getting ready to hit play on the second episode, called The Child, episode 2. So now, Mando has
The Child.
The Child.
Kind of a short one, 33 minutes.
This one, it looks like it's shorter. It says it's 33 minutes.
Yeah.
And here we go. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go. And there's the beautiful blue Disney.
No more dispute.
Previously We're not going to skip the previously,
That would be
since
confusing.
we just got done with it. But you're able to, if you haven't been following through this whole podcast in one sitting, you might not remember some things.
You are Mandalorian.
That IG-11 was a fun, interesting character. At least he got his moment in the sun there. Fighting wise.
Good cameo too.
Great cameo by Taika.
It shows up later though.
Does at some point. But we don't know
sorry,
this.
Spoiler.
Spoiler.
Sorry. No.
We don't know at this particular point.
No,
but
there's no
yes.
more IG-11.
Yes.
But your finger went to the skip intro button.
For a moment, I started to reach for the skip intro. I still think that this is a gorgeous intro. The lasers of the main masks, and outlines of the saga. I think it's just really well done. Some might argue that the strength of the Disney purchasing Star Wars, if people weren't really into the sequel trilogy, the strengths could be the Mandalorian birth.
Oh, it's just the TV shows.
The TV quality here, and I would much rather have a really
bunch of shows instead of movies.
What I think I said it in Boba Fett's one of our talks. I'd rather have 7-8 awesome episodes than wait 3 years for a 2-hour movie.
There's just a little sachet.
Mm-hmm. It's just a strut, just walking through the caves. Baby Yoda hovering, floating.
Little lizards.
But this is a little reminiscent of when R2-D2 is rolling towards Old Ben Kenobi, at A New Hope, when, they are attacked by the Jawas. Just slowly going through silence. It's almost like walking in the woods alone. It can be kind of, you hear noises and you're being watched. But right now, this was shot on the volume. So this scene here.
I remember this.
But just look at the lighting. Look at the backgrounds and stuff. That's just all LED. And it's just unbelievable that you can see a reflection in his helmet like he's outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think that would help production costs be much more
just
manageable.
A dome.
And what do we got here? Oh, the beeping. People have come for the bounty. He did all the hard work, so now people are coming to claim. Mando should be all right. He's taken on multiple people at one time in the bar, but these look like definitely more fighters.
These were the guys from the bar.
Look at the coordination, though. They're fighting them literally at the same time, not waiting around behind for one to hit them, and then the next jumps in. Like we talked about when Boba Fett was fighting the Nikto speeder bikes in Tashi.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't all three of them come at once?
Or the mods against Gersantin.
Yeah, how choreographed that was.
How not choreographed that was.
All right, so how'd they find him? He's just staring at the beeper. Meaning, and as we already knew with IG-11, more bounty hunters were issued this special assignment than just him. So episode 2 called The Child.
I wonder if they ever thought they weren't going to get a second season.
I don't know. This literally...
the first season does end well. Like, that could be the last season, but...
Yeah, but if you think about it, Disney Plus started around, I think, October of 19.
Mm-hmm.
And Mando was the first, big thing, the big draw.
Yeah, that's how
that came out, the next month or December. And I think it was their goal all along to have original content.
Mm-hmm.
And then as successful as almost instantly with this Baby Yoda, pop culture. Between watching this live when they were released a week apart, Baby Yoda blew up the internet.
Of course he did. He's
and
so cute.
All from that one scene, that one shot, reaching. Yeah. And how cute. And the memes. He's almost every time in this series, he's meme worthy.
Because he's so cute.
Very marketable for sure. Because this was right up, 3 or 4 episodes before Christmas that year, and everybody was jonesing for some sort of not Grogu yet, but Baby Yoda gear, something, stuffed dolls. But nothing was made because if it had been made, it could have been leaked, that there was this character coming, but they wanted the surprise of it. So they started to put back orders out, and you had to wait until like, I don't know, May, June of the next
Jeez.
year in order to get your stuff.
I mean, just watch this stuff
Mhm.
on Disney Plus, honestly.
Oh, yeah. So we talked through a great scene of Mando truly hurt, and we see Baby Yoda just reaching for him. We'll figure out retroactively that he was trying to heal him there, that he was trying to help ease the pain. You mentioned Rey with the hurt snake,
Yeah.
To heal, and he
Yeah.
wanted to help out a bit.
I forget which episode that is with like the birds at night, and he has to heal Karga.
That'll be coming up towards the end of this, yeah, like the 7th or so. All right, I remember this being a fun one. His ship's being scavenged, and he literally is disintegrating these little Jawas.
They're just gone.
Gone. They literally disintegrate, which is great because the first time we ever see Boba Fett in live action, he's with the other bounty hunting crew, and Darth Vader's, he wants, them captured alive, and he goes, "No disintegrations, as you wish, Lord Vader." That type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now these sand crawlers, being so big, you think that they go really, really slow, out in the desert, like they're crawling.
We always saw them going slow,
But
like
these
if we saw
things-
them move at all.
These things are hauling. Look at that.
It's like a tank.
Yep, the tank, the tread. This is one of the first crazy big action scenes, crawling up the side. It's reminiscent of, the Lego Star Wars games where you would play and you'd have to get inside the sand crawler or crawl up the outside.
I do remember that.
But here we're at the inside, and it looks like the deck of some cruise ship. Oh, this is like... See, I just see a lot of illusions. You see that like Indiana Jones when he's
Mhm.
hanging on the tank, and Last Crusade with the Nazis, and they're going to try to kill him into there.
I just find this similar.
Baby Yoda catching up.
I just find this similar to the sail barge with all the open windows, and they're
Yeah,
opening them and throwing stuff.
a lot of access points should they be open, and he can just crawl in or crawl out or pull somebody out. But these things are pretty massive. I mean, we saw just, I don't know, what are they, about 100-foot tall maybe? Like a 10-story building just rolling through there.
He's not even recoiling at the rocks, but he
Mhm.
gets shot in the shoulder
Oh.
and he's like immobilized.
He is just killing these Jawas.
Yes, just bang on it.
Screaming.
Oh, teeny.
Whoa. Now this. How do you not die?
Oh,
Even if you have the Beskar,
oof.
you have to slam into the Beskar. Oh, that just looks painful. And the
Broken
baby doesn't know if
everything.
he's alive or dead.
Maybe he healed him.
That might be nice. You know what? If he crawls over to touch him with the, his
But
scratch,
He'd be
maybe,
asleep though.
Maybe he did something.
He'd be falling asleep because, like, he almost fell asleep trying
Maybe he did.
And they've been here for hours.
Yeah, I doubt it though. But now they
Plot
can follow the
hole.
tracks. Oh my gosh. His Razor Crest is toast. They got all those weapons.
I keep remembering this so far into the first season.
Mm-hmm. You got to remember this is just the start.
Yeah.
Now in the Star Wars, literature and stuff, they always have locking or some sort of security system on their ship. Auto defense, something like that would protect it from this. But maybe he thought he was safe on a back world area.
So, is this Tatooine?
I don't know.
Or are Jawas native to other planets? Oh, did he just say Dank Ferric?
You can't ask me too many things.
I think he said it.
Go ahead and take it. At
I'm
least
gonna
half.
point it.
Half. Give it a half.
I'd have to look at it.
Now, what's he gonna do? I mean, he can't. He's got his quarry. People have their fobs, their pagers, or beepers, so they can come find them. But he's trapped. He can't get anywhere.
Time to
If only he knows
Walk.
somebody on this planet.
stop it. Just watch the show. Love the music.
It's beautiful. And I mean,
Silhouette. Look at
Look
that.
at this. It's beautiful. Sunset, just walking and the outline.
There's your windmill again.
I mean, this show, like we talked about in Boba Fett, has been nominated for and won a ton of Emmys. And the fact that it was for the best show for drama nominated both years, it just no sci-fi show does that. Star Trek had one Emmy nomination or two, and it was for costumes or special effects or makeup. But this, yes, it's winning special effects stuff, but when it's nominated for best drama, that just transcends the love and nerdiness of it's just Star Wars. No, this is
drama,
storytelling.
The beginning of the frogs for Baby Yoda.
Yeah, this episode premiered November 15th, 2019. So right when Disney, because I remember I started my Disney Plus so that I could watch.
Just so you could watch this show.
Watch this.
Oof. I guess it does rain there.
Some sort of storms, yeah. Boy, I just love this music, though. Dude.
Very ambient. Ambient.
The Wikipedia for this episode says that they are on Arvala 7.
How do people know that?
Arvala 7. Maybe it was in the script or something at some point. But definitely it's very Tatooine-esque.
Jawas are more than just Tatooine.
I guess. Minus that rainstorm. That doesn't track.
There's a weapons are part of my religion. I'm marking it.
You're keeping a running tabulation?
Yep. I've got a lot of things going.
You might have to share that with us when we have a down moment.
Yes, I will.
How these things aren't going crazy at Mando right now.
They're traitors.
Disintegrating.
They're lose their business.
That's true. A chance for money.
They don't deal with money.
They're all about money.
No, they're trading.
All right, so the Beskar, hey, so they want his whole armor, not just his, new shoulder plate.
Yeah.
So when they do get, and strip Boba's after the Sarlacc pit, you can tell that they truly value
Very
that Beskar above everything else. I mean, they're going to trade him everything from the ship just for his Beskar.
So Boba's with the Tuskens right now.
Boba is with the Tuskens right now. Well, depends on how much time passes. We don't know here.
That's fair.
With this. But they're in obviously the same era.
Oh, it's this episode. Okay.
Yeah, because he still is trying to take the kid back to Navarro to turn it into the client.
Mm-hmm. The egg, the egg.
Jawa's just staring at him. But I do like how this looks like a bridge of a big ship.
Mm-hmm.
What a great view that they would have up there.
Listen to the music that plays with the mud horn, and it's like how I said that it played during Baby Yoda's taming the Rancor.
Oh, in the other podcast, you said that? So Baby Yoda gets his theme music.
Mm-hmm.
Is it when he's using the Force here in a bit?
Yeah.
All right, so they drove him, but clearly they didn't drive him all the way. But they went to a cave. Now, this, I didn't know what he was going to fight. I thought it was a crate dragon. And they wanted
spoiler.
They wanted an egg, and it reminded me of and it looks like a horizontal Sarlacc pit that we see later on.
Yeah.
With the crate. But anyways, the Tuscans, the rite of passage in the comics and stuff, books, they had the kids to be men. They had to go and get a pearl from. They had to kill a crate dragon and
Not
get the
really an
pearl
egg.
from the inside. I know. I thought that this was something very similar. The Jawas needed this for something of importance and relevance,
No.
which is comedic. A little
Yeah.
humor here, and we'll find out why.
Love the attention to detail with the mud since it literally just rained.
Oh, because otherwise, how would you get mud?
Yeah.
Good point.
I think I remember getting jump scared here. It wasn't really that big, but
Just walking in darkness, not knowing what he's going to find. Maybe they told him what he's going to see, but we didn't know.
the egg.
All right, so there are bones. So a carnivore? If you
Yes.
expect that, this is its lair. Jurassic Park moment. There it is. The eye opens, shooting. And now we get to see what it is.
The Mudhorn.
Mudhorn. Well, if it's truly like a rhino, rhinos definitely are not meat eaters, so maybe that was just the
Maybe something died.
decomposing that body in there. Too much mud in his gun. Can't easily shoot it.
I wonder what the limit for like how big something is before you can disintegrate it. Because he
True.
couldn't disintegrate the crate dragon.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it would work on this guy.
Beautiful. He's got some sort of slave component that he can control. They call them slaving the ships together, where I could slave the circuitry of my ship next to yours, and then yours would jump whenever I say to jump. My controls slave yours. And so he had a remote control of the pod. Oh, here we go. We're going mudding.
Woohoo!
And he's got to, of course, go skiing.
So dirty. Or muddy, sorry.
This has been a very painful episode.
Oh.
From the sandcrawler to this, he's still got to feel all that. Fading into unconsciousness. Look at the little hairs on his head.
Here he comes.
Very territorial. He pretty much knows he's going to die here. He pulls out his weapon. He knows he has no shot. Look, he barely can hold it up. Wow. And it stops. We could assume that a baby Yoda would have some abilities.
At least some. Which makes me wonder, it's not a descendant of Yoda, because Yoda's still alive.
Yoda's
Or-
not alive.
He
Yoda died.
wasn't he alive in the prequels?
This isn't the prequels. This is after.
I know, but he's 50 years old.
Oh yeah, he's been around,
So it could
Yeah.
be his kid.
or some sort of offspring. See, we never have ever established where Yoda is from or what
What
his
they are.
species is.
Yeah. Are we
And-
ever?
I don't know. But then we have this one here, and can we assume that he is he a clone of Yoda? I mean, people jokingly refer to him as Baby Yoda,
And
and he was born around prior to the Clone Wars.
we see like cloning and
Or during
Force
the Clone
stuff,
Wars.
like Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
Palpatine's alive.
and
We see all the Snoke canisters where his clones were.
and they talk about cloning even in the Darth Bane era,
Yeah.
from the Old Republic stuff, oldish Republic, so thousands of years beforehand. So it's not new technology. I guess we find out in more detail. He's so cute when he's asleep. But we find out in more detail that they want him for the blood. They want him
Yes.
for the testing
The midichlorians.
because of his abilities.
They're probably trying to clone him. That's what my guess is.
Because that would be in line with, coming up in, a handful of years, Snoke and
Yeah.
Palpatine and all of that stuff. Yeah, how long do you wait? Well, if you'd have driven him closer to the Mudhorns,
They were scared of the Mudhorn.
that could be. Because that fight, they weren't there very long.
No.
Man, he's going to need a bath. So they're going to trade all of his stuff that they probably spent hours disassembling
Yep.
for this egg. This hairy, gross thing.
What could it be? What's the purpose?
Well, it looks like Cousin It from the Addams Family. Just that big hairball.
Looks like a coconut.
Victory. And it's just a snack. Oh my gosh. He almost died.
So they could get some
Yep.
a Cadbury cream egg.
Mando's shaking his head. Walks away. But you do what you got to do for your equipment. Can't get off planet without it. Pretty good latching of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as the series goes on, even up through Boba Fett, anytime Grogu, Baby Yoda, going to be called Grogu next season, he's very wiped out after his exertions, but none more so than this particular one.
Oh yeah.
And so, whether it's as he's discovering it more, he gets, I don't know, more tolerant of it, or
Stronger.
with practice.
More proficient.
Definitely more proficient. Oh, Mando's really lucky that he met this Queel. Very reminiscent of the Peli build of the Naboo fighter for Mando
Yeah.
in the Boba Fett show.
The Boba Fett show.
And so now we have the montage just building and piecing things back. I would be worried about being vacuum sealed or safe from the vacuum of space. So their welds
Yeah.
would need to be pretty precise. Do some air pressure checks on the inside.
Can't imagine what the Star Wars universe would be like without the spaceships.
Probably very boring if they're all just
Yeah.
planetary. I've always wondered, like, if I could go Star Wars, where would I want? And I just can't imagine. I mean, we can get in a car and drive a few hours or a couple
You
days
just
and get
hit a
somewhere.
button or a lever and they go
But
light speed.
yeah, but they can. It still might take days in light speed to get to a planet, but to have the ability to go interstellar and go somewhere else to a whole new
We're
planet,
gonna go vacation on Naboo.
that would be awesome. Be gorgeous. I would love to go to Coruscant just to see what a trillion people or what a city planet would be like.
It's just New York, but bigger.
Bigger, huge. Well, New York's one level. You know, in
There's
some
like
of
a
the
trillion
some of the
levels.
books that, I mean, that where you see in Coruscant, that's at the upper level. There are hundreds of levels down to
We see that
the
season 7 of
basement
Clone
area
Wars.
where they don't have any light down there. There's no light, doesn't reach that far. Air doesn't reach that far. You know, it's just, I wouldn't necessarily want to go there, but
Yeah, you would.
I would be interested in seeing the different cultures in that big city. I have spoken.
Oh,
Thanks,
that's
Quill.
another one.
Just gets a head nod from Mando. That car seat doesn't look like it's safely strapped in.
No, it doesn't.
My goodness, I can't imagine the knowledge that those individuals must have in order to piece that together and make sure everything works. So like how Han and Chewie know so much about the Falcon and can Jimmy rig it.
Because they've been there forever.
You just got to know your stuff because their life depends on it. If you get stranded out in the middle of space, it's so big.
It's probably part of Mandalorian training.
No, I would hope so. Those trumpets and this theme music. Beautiful. We're gonna jump to light speed.
This is where he gets the ball.
Let's see. No, it looks like baby is still asleep. Now he realizes this thing saved his life, and so he still has to turn it over for payment. That's the code, right?
This is the way.
And so you can definitely see starting to feel for it a little bit and inner struggle that he's to deal with, which is why I think, you know, the next episode titled The Sin, you know, giving it up because he does sell, or, you know, I don't know, what is it sell?
I guess.
You know, trade the child for Beskar. Rick
Famuyiwa.
John Farrow. Well, that's the second episode. Beautiful cover art again. Oh, that looks like Tron. All the lights around there. Very cool.
So far, we've got 1.5 Dank Ferrix.
Okay, so yeah, walk through what you're keeping track of.
Okay, I am keeping Dank Ferrix. I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in colds. Weapons are part of my religion, and I have spoken, as well as this is the way.
This is the way. Okay.
I don't think we've had any from the armorer yet.
No, you'll have that when he goes back to
I'm actually gonna get rid of I'll bring in warm or cold.
That's only gonna be a couple times.
Yeah. So it's just Dank Ferric, weapons are part of my religion, I have spoken, and this is the way.
You remember weapons being part of my religion? That he says that a lot?
I mean, he says it in the Book of Boba Fett. Do you just want me to get? I'll just get rid of it.
No, I am not trying to lead you one way or the other. I'm just Dank Ferric is there. This is the way.
Yeah.
And I have spoken. I mean, those are the three biggies. You know, right off the bat.
2 I have spokens. 0. This is the way. And 1.5 Dank Ferrics, which I still don't agree with.
Well, I think next episode you'll get some This is the way, because he gets the Beskar from the client and goes back to the armorer. So, good. Well, that is the end of our first watch-along commentary. Rewatch. You know, at some point, whether you listen to this live, or maybe next time Mando comes around, you decide to do a rewatch. Maybe this will provide a little bit more insight or thoughts into what we think of certain things. It was distracting in trying to read along and follow when we start talking about stuff. So hopefully it was somewhat entertaining, but definitely not going to have the insight into this detail-wise that we do with our after-watch shows of Boba Fett and the new stuff. You know, the detail and such.
And in the future, when we're doing this, we probably won't take a half hour doing questions and then like an hour 15 watching the show.
Yeah.
Should be still just 2 episodes at a time. Give us 8 weeks, 2 months. So
that'll get us near the Obi-Wan series.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just do still trying to stay just in our routine of 1 a week so that, you know, people can, those that enjoy it or, you know, pass it along, that each week we'll have a new episode. If you wish to reach out to us, you can look in the episode write-up for all of our contact handles, whether it's email or Twitter or Instagram. We have a YouTube channel that we will be launching with the premiere of this episode that we're recording, plus our backlog catalog will be live as well by the time you get this.
A what?
YouTube channel.
What's a backlog?
Backlog. All of the previous podcasts that we have.
Okay.
You know,
I didn't know what a backlog
YouTube,
catalog is.
Ready to go, since this is the first one we have, you know, for that. We do not have video of it. It's just audio, so you can continue to listen while you're working or doing other stuff. So a Q&A for this episode was obviously at the beginning, but this is where we do our normal Q&A. So if you have any questions, if you have comments based on the watch of what we are commenting on, knowing that we are doing Mandalorians,
if we
1
should
and 2.
Shut up.
If you want to, or just shut up and let us watch it.
Just mute us. Don't listen.
So if you have a question about the first 2 episodes of Mandalorian, feel free. If you have questions on the next 2, 3, and 4, that's what we'll be talking about next week. And that would be timely with your questions. Feel free to reach out. We've been very pleased and with the success of the Q&A so far, and we want to continue it going.
I think next to our The Sin, obviously, as we can see it right now, but isn't it The Sanctuary is the 4th one?
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember the order of them.
You know how long it's been since we've watched these?
3, he gives off the child. 4, I'm pretty sure they go to the place.
Like to hide and
Gina
get away?
Carano.
Oh, you think she shows up that quick?
I think that's the 4th one.
Sanctuary, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you got it. You're magical.
I got it.
Magical.
So
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening, watching along. Again, we're just going to do these watch along parties. So if you ever are, or if you've memorized these episodes and as we talk you can visualize it, then you don't have to sit and hit play. But if you just want to hit play and watch along and listen, that works as well. It's whatever you want to do. So thank you for listening. Until next week, I'm Bob.
I'm Nolan.
And have a great rest of your week.
See ya.